Hola and welcome to ProSpanish. A quick reminder before we start that all the approaches and techniques in this video are fully embedded throughout my Levels 1 to 6 ProSpanish course. Have a look at this. Tengo miedo. Tengo miedo is I'm scared or I'm frightened. Tengo miedo. Those of you who have already done some Spanish will know that tengo actually means I have. So the way of saying I'm scared in Spanish is I have fear. Miedo is fear. So in Spanish it's I have fear. Tengo miedo. What do you think it means if I say no tengo miedo? No tengo miedo. I don't have fear. Or I'm not scared. No tengo miedo. And have a guess at this, even if you're just starting out in your Spanish journey. No tengo miedo de ti. No tengo miedo de ti. I'm not scared of you. I don't have fear of you. No tengo miedo de ti. So, tengo is I have, and you have is tienes. Tienes. By the way, if you're new to Spanish, you don't need to memorize any of this. In fact, I'd say you mustn't. Don't try to memorize it. Just follow my instructions. So, tienes is you have. How would you say you are scared? But we'd actually say the kind of literal translation you're making is you have fear. So how would you say you have fear, you're scared? Tienes miedo. Tienes miedo. So you're scared. Tienes miedo. And a question, do you have fear? Or in proper English, are you scared? Is exactly the same. Tienes miedo. Tienes miedo. Just a slight rise in the intonation at the end there to show that it's a question. So, tengo miedo, I'm scared or I'm afraid, I have fear, or you have fear, tienes miedo, so you are afraid. In Spanish there are lots of phrases like this, where in English we would say I am, I'm scared, or I'm afraid, but in Spanish we'd say I have something, I have fear. It could also be I have hunger, where we would say I'm hungry. Or you have thirst. Do you have thirst? Are you thirsty? Okay, so now we have a foundation. Let's build on it and expand. So we've said I have fear, I'm scared. And we also learned you're scared, or the question, are you scared? So, do you have fear? Tienes miedo. And we can also say, he or she has. So, he or she has is tiene. Tiene. You just drop the S from the you have. So, you have is tienes. He or she has is tiene. Just drop the S. So, how would you say? He's scared. Tiene miedo. Tiene miedo. So he's scared or he has fear. Tiene miedo. And we saw earlier how to say, I'm scared of you. And it's okay if you don't remember. It was just a bit of an aside. But if you can remember, how do you think now we could say, she's scared of you? She has fear of you. What do you think that might be? Tiene miedo de ti. Tiene miedo de ti. She's afraid of you. She has a fear of you. Now, in all my teaching, I'm constantly monitoring the learner's cognitive load. And this is really important for guaranteeing progress. So the cognitive load is kind of how much stuff you're having to hold in your head during the learning process. And the cognitive load in this video, in this lesson, has so far been reasonably light, which means I can add another layer without pushing you over the edge. And this little extra will make you sound a lot more natural and conversational. And it's a little phrase we're going to add up here at the top of our whiteboard. And it's really important, again, not to try to commit this to memory now. You don't need to do that. Okay, so this is our phrase. Claro, lo que pasa es que... Sure, the thing is that... So somebody might have invited you out for a drink, and you could say, yeah, sure, the thing is, I have to work until 8 o'clock, or whatever. Claro, lo que pasa es que... And then the rest of the phrase, like, tengo que trabajar hasta las 8. Or a friend might ask you to go on a roller coaster, and you can say, sure, the thing is that I'm scared. Claro, lo que pasa es que tengo miedo. Sure, the thing is I'm scared. So the first bit there, claro, is sure, or of course. And it's used an awful lot by native Spanish speakers. Sometimes you might be hearing just one side of a phone conversation and all you can hear is claro. Sí, claro, claro. Like, yeah, sure, yeah, sure. So, claro, sure, or of course. Then we have lo que pasa. Lo que pasa is literally what passes. Lo que is what and pasa is passes. What passes? Sure. What passes is that, and then es que is that. Sure, what passes is that I have to work. But in plain English, sure, the thing is that I have to work. Okay, we'll just park that for a minute. And we'll just take a quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. So we've got miedo, fear. Let's look at the next pair. Hunger and thirst. Hambre, sed. Hambre, sed. So hambre is hunger and sed is thirst. How would you say I'm thirsty or I have thirst? Tengo sed. Tengo sed. How about I'm not hungry? I don't have hunger. What would that be? No tengo hambre. No tengo hambre. How would you say he's thirsty? He has thirst. Tiene sed. Tiene sed. How about this one? So somebody might ask for a snack and you could say, sure. Are you hungry? Sure, or of course. Are you hungry? What would that be? So, of course. Do you have hunger? Claro. ¿Tienes hambre? Claro. ¿Tienes hambre? So, sure. Are you hungry? And how would you say, the thing is that I'm not hungry. The thing is that I'm not hungry. What would that be? Lo que pasa es que no tengo hambre. Lo que pasa es que no tengo hambre. Okay, let's move down to the next pair. Cold and heat. So I have cold would be I'm cold. And I have heat, I'm hot. So frío and calor. Frío, calor. How would you ask the question? Are you cold? Do you have cold? What would that be? ¿Tienes frío? ¿Tienes frío? And what might this answer mean? Sí, tengo mucho frío. Sí, tengo mucho frío. Yes, I'm very cold. Or more literally, yes, I have a lot of cold. I have much cold. So we have to use much because you can't say I have very fear. You have to say I have a lot of fear. I have much fear. So how would you say he's very hot? He has a lot of heat. He has much heat. What would that be? Tiene mucho calor. Tiene mucho calor. How about I'm very scared? What would that be? I'm very scared. Tengo mucho miedo. Tengo mucho miedo. So I have a lot of fear. I have much fear. So let's add this in. And you can see that I've also added mucha, the feminine of mucho. So we've got mucho and mucha. Because if there's a lot of something, of the feminine word, then the much also has to be feminine. So mucha pizza. Much pizza, a lot of pizza, mucha. We can see a couple of obvious feminine words because they end in the letter A. So prisa and vergüenza, which we'll come to in a moment. But there are two more not so obvious ones, hambre and sed. They are both feminine nouns, feminine words. So we need to use mucha with them. So how would you say? He's very thirsty. Tiene mucha sed. Tiene mucha sed. He has a lot of thirst. How would you say? The thing is, she's very hungry. Lo que pasa es que tiene mucha hambre. Lo que pasa es que tiene mucha hambre. How about, the thing is, I'm not very hungry. What would that be? Lo que pasa es que no tengo mucha hambre. Lo que pasa es que no tengo mucha hambre. Let's add a little something else to this column. Un poco de. A little or a bit of. Un poco de. For example, tengo un poco de miedo. I have a bit of fear. I have a little fear. We could have, I have a bit of hunger. I'm a bit hungry. How would you say, I'm a bit cold? What would that be? Tengo un poco de frío. Tengo un poco de frío. How about, she's a bit hot? Tiene un poco de calor. Tiene un poco de calor. And somebody might suggest going to get something to eat, and you might reply, yeah, sure, I'm a bit hungry. What would that be? Sí, claro, tengo un poco de hambre. Sí, claro, tengo un poco de hambre. Okay, let's have a look at the last two. So, a hurry or a rush and embarrassment. So we might say, I'm in a hurry, or I have hurry. I have rush. Doesn't quite translate that well. And I have embarrassment. I feel embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. So how would you say, I'm in a hurry? What would that be? Tengo prisa. Tengo prisa. How about, she's in a bit of a hurry? What would that be? She has a bit of hurry. Tiene un poco de prisa. Tiene un poco de prisa. And how would you say, the thing is, I'm in a bit of a hurry? What would that be? Lo que pasa es que tengo un poco de prisa. Lo que pasa es que tengo un poco de prisa. And how would you ask the question? Are you embarrassed? So, do you have embarrassment? ¿Tienes vergüenza? ¿Tienes vergüenza? How about, the thing is, I'm a bit embarrassed. How would you say that? Lo que pasa es que tengo un poco de vergüenza. Lo que pasa es que tengo un poco de vergüenza. And how about, sure, the thing is, she's very embarrassed. What would that be? Claro, lo que pasa es que tiene mucha vergüenza. Claro, lo que pasa es que tiene mucha vergüenza. And that's all we have time for in today's video. If you haven't already visited prospanish.co.uk, make sure you head over there now to check out the levels 1 to 6 course, which will take you from beginner or post-beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish.